When people think about Persona endings, they usually remember the emotional ones. Persona 3's heartbreaking finale, Persona 4 Golden's hopeful goodbye, or Persona 5's bittersweet ending. But today, I want to look at what I think is Persona 4's darkest ending, and one of the darkest endings Atlus has ever written. To understand why, we first need to see how you actually get it. On the 5th of December, you stand outside with Yosuke and Naoto, you talk about the culprit and you realise it might be Adachi. You have to decide to not tell your friends about your suspicions, and the game will really ask if you're sure about this. You use trust if Adachi leads him to not tell anyone, and Naoto says their only choice is to just keep on looking. Yosuke says the truth has been lost in the fog, and you go home. Once you go home, Teddy's left you a note that he's gone back into the TV, and thanks you for what you did for him. Time then skips forward to March 20th. The day the main character Yu is leaving Inaba to go back to his hometown. Before leaving, the option to visit Adachi appears. You then must go and wait for him in the police interrogation room. You then ask him if he killed Mayumi and Saki, to which he says that that's ridiculous and that Yu and his friends already brought in the real killer. Adachi then puts forward an interesting question. He says, "Say I am the culprit. Are you here to turn me in?" To which you must reply no. He then asks if you're blackmailing him, to which you also say no. He then asks if you're going to keep playing detective on this case, and then you tell him, "I'm on your side." Adachi then leaves the room and comes back with a letter that was sent to you and his family telling him to stop saving people. Of course, Adachi should have turned this over to forensics, but he never did. Adachi gives you a lighter and then boasts in your face that you and his friends, including his detective uncle, have spent all year working tirelessly to try and figure out this case. But burning this letter would remove any evidence that could help work out who the real killer is, completely betraying all of his friends and relationships he's made over the past year. You then burns the letter, and Adachi starts laughing in a manic way, telling you that he's committed a crime. Adachi now has Yu wrapped around his finger. Adachi pulls out his phone and calls Yu while stood in front of him, telling him that he has his number and that Yu has to pick up the phone anytime he calls, and that it won't be hard for Adachi to track him down since he's a part of the Japanese police. The game really tells you that you've committed a monstrous act, and then it maxes out Adachi's social link. And as Adachi turns to leave, he says, "Goodbye, partner," the same way Yosuke refers to you throughout the whole game.
Thanks, partner.
A chilling moment. Then, back at home, Yu is in front of the TV, and the reporter says that the person Yu and his friends brought in for the murder is still continuing to deny committing the first two. He also mentioned the fog is still around. Your uncle Dojima then comes up to you and asks if you're ready to go. He mentions that Nanako, your cousin, is still in the hospital, and that he isn't sure if they really got the right person, to which you reply, you think they have, which of course is a lie, straight to your uncle's face. You then meet with your friends at the train station, and they say goodbye to you. It's so bleak and depressing, nothing like the true ending scene, which I will cover later. And then, in the thick yellow fog, as the train leaves Inaba, Yu looks out the window and sees Adachi cross the track and clutch his phone, knowing he's done a terrible thing and has become Adachi's lapdog. Adachi smiles, knowing he's got away with all the horrific crimes he committed, all because of Yu. This isn't only disturbing because Yu lets Adachi escape, it's because Adachi wins. Adachi is evil and never committed these murders for fame or money. To him, they were simply entertainment. The investigation team spent an entire year trying to uncover the truth, but in this ending, Yu willingly hands Adachi the victory he always wanted. Adachi is evil and sees the murder as a game to satisfy his boredom while in Inaba, and this ending lets him win the game in his eyes. You can see that by the smile he gives at the end. This ending goes against the core theme of Persona 4. The game is always trying to tell you to reach out to the truth, and by getting this ending, you do the opposite. This ending requires you to fall for a false front that Adachi has put on the entire game. You destroying that letter meant Adachi's murder game was closed, but that opened a new game. Adachi can now begin to mess around and own you. All the bonds he's made over the entire course of the game mean nothing now. Yu has betrayed everyone, even his own uncle who gave him a place to stay. This ending also means the fog that covers Inaba isn't gone. Yu has willingly covered for someone, knowing his friends are left behind in a fog-covered town. Nanako is still in the hospital by the end of the game and can't even come to the train station and say goodbye to you. On the screen is a comparison of the endings. This really shows you how guilty you should feel if you get this ending. You get a grey, bleak ending. There are some small smiles, but nothing like the golden ending, and there's no Teddy, as he's left to go and live in the TV world. If you try and avoid picking Adachi as the killer, the game will try and make sure this is what you really want. The game makes it clear that this is not the choice you should be making, but it solidifies how much of a monster you are for going all the way through with it. The game wants you to pick Adachi, and it makes sure you know that you've done it wrong. This ending raises the question of what happens to everyone if this ending takes place, and it really makes you think about the future of Yu's life. He's basically owned by Adachi now. Since he burned the letter, turning over Adachi would also mean him being outed for protecting him. The lives of everyone in Inaba are permanently in balance, as there seems to be no rise in the fog, meaning everyone's lives will turn out to be drastically different. The canon ending sees people like Chie become a police officer and Yukiko taking over the inn, things like that. And these are things that most likely wouldn't happen if the fog never rose. Dojima will continue to live in doubt if they caught the right guy, and thankfully Nanako does awake from her coma, but she's still in hospital by the end of the game. All of the investigation team have to live on with the belief that they failed themselves, and that they failed each other. They'll never know the truth was right beside them the whole time. Yu permanently changes the future of all of his friends, for the worse. Adachi spends the whole game being a clumsy detective, someone who throws up at the first crime scene, someone who's awkward and a bit lazy. But this is all a lie. Adachi's been putting on a false front for you the whole game. This isn't him. Adachi is evil. He's an egotistical man who kills people for terrible reasons. Adachi's arcana represents this. His social link is the Jester, which can also turn into the Hunger Arcana once he's outed as the killer. Jester isn't a real arcana in the real world, which could represent the false bond you have with him through his social link. Now, many people debate whether Adachi actually cares about the Dojima family, so that's up to your own interpretation. Adachi's arcana then changes to the Lust Arcana, or the Hunger Arcana in the English version, because they didn't want people to think it is sexual. The Lust Arcana is a real card, meaning you are now really seeing the true Adachi. His true personality has come out, as you can really see when you speak to him in the TV world. Throughout the entire game, you're constantly rewarded for searching for the truth. Every dungeon exists because someone is hiding from themselves. Every social link is about understanding another person. Every major mystery pushes you to keep asking questions instead of accepting the easy answer. Persona 4 teaches you that the truth can be painful, but it's always worth reaching. The accomplice ending completely rejects that idea. For the first time in the game, the person hiding the truth isn't the killer, it's you. The game doesn't punish you because you failed to solve the mystery, it punishes you because you willingly buried the answer. This is why this ending feels so different from every other bad ending in the series. It doesn't make you feel powerless or defeated, it makes you feel responsible. You've become a terrible person, and you've done a terrible thing. Now, of course, no matter how dark this ending is, there's no justifying that it is quite dumb. It's very out of character, and you would never betray his friends like that. This ending is mainly added for the fans of Adachi, as he has quite a cult following around him. But why does this ending stick with people so much? Persona 4 has multiple bad endings. Some happen if you fail to uncover the truth, others happen because you don't reach a deadline, some happen because you make the wrong decisions at crucial moments. But the accomplice ending stands out from these other bad endings. Being the protagonist means Yu isn't just another member of the investigation team. Everyone spends the entire game looking to him for answers, they trust his judgment, they follow his lead. And over the course of the game, you build genuine friendships with every single one of them, and then you just throw it all away. All for Adachi. That's what makes this ending so uncomfortable. Not just because Adachi escapes, it's because you help him do it. Now, yes, like I said, this ending is completely out of character for you. The Yu Narukami we see throughout Persona 4 would never willingly betray his friends or cover for a serial killer. But that's kind of why this ending exists. It's not trying to tell you what you as a character would do. It just exists to be evil. It's showing you what happens when the person who spent an entire game searching for the truth becomes the one who buries it. And that's why, at least in my opinion, the accomplice ending is just pure evil. It doesn't make any sense. It just exists to be evil. And that's why it's probably Persona 4's darkest ending in my opinion. And it's one of the darkest endings Atlus has ever put into a game.